Oh my, it's another beautiful harvest. We've got dahlias, and we've got stalks, and we've got okra and tomatillos and pineapple ground cherries and beautiful tomatoes. Some Phil's 2 tomatoes. Besides that, chef's choice. And I also harvested herbs. So in my ring here, and this was a splurge that I made over the winter, and it has more parts to it, but this thing is super cool. I got it on Amazon. So we have some anise hyssop here. We have some Genovese basil and some purple ball basil. It smells heavenly in here. Welcome back to Ashley's Homestead Adventures, by the way. I hope you guys are having a great day. I just picked some more scabiosa to take into the house, and we are going to have a kitchen evening inside the farm kitchen here. All right, the first thing that I've done is I've grabbed all of my bouquets from last week, which all look pretty good. The dahlias are, some of them are looking a little straggly. Of course, the celosia looks good. The straw flowers still look really good. Some of the scabiosa still looks good. But we're gonna pull whatever's bad out and get them in fresh water. So I have some more vases set out here to use, and I will get those done real quick. Also, in other very exciting news, my garlic's here. So I'm super excited about that. All right, the new bouquets are all made up. And now I'm going to work on this stuff. All right, the tomatillos went in, they got shucked, washed, and put in the bag with the rest of the tomatillos that I'm saving in the freezer. And the ground cherries got shucked and washed, and they are going to go in the freezer as well. Now we will be moving on to the egg rotation. Cupboard doors open everywhere. Welcome to my real kitchen, where things do not look perfect most of the time. If you guys have any ground cherry recipes, I would love to experiment with them. I was thinking about making like a jam or a chutney, maybe. I think maybe a chutney would be better. And I'm gonna do some research and see what kind of recipes I can come up with online. But I've got 50 ground cherry plants. So we're enjoying them as garden snacks, but I believe I'm also gonna have an abundance of them. And rather than letting them just sit out there and rot, I'd like to accumulate them in the freezer like I'm doing with my tomatillos. And then, you know, once the frost comes and kills the plants, then I can do, you know, a chutney or something. So anyways, if you guys have anything, any recipes that have to do with ground cherries, I would appreciate your input. Okay, got all the last week's egg cartons empty. There was only 2 dozen and 2 18 packs. Got the little eggerator going for my hard-boiled eggs, and we have a crock pot full of eggs, and it looks like yellow squash by Straight Neck. Could be patty pan, and rice, and all of those eggs. And this will be dog food. So this will be this week's egg batch of dog food. And for those of you who don't know and just think that I'm trying to find ways to get rid of my eggs, that's not the case. We intentionally have more egg layers than we need for the purposes of incubating and hatching out our meat chickens, as well as having an overabundance of eggs that we can not only sell at the farm stand, but that we can make dog food with. That's actually part of why we have so many chickens, because our dogs enjoy eating egg dog food. It's good for them, and it's something that's, you know, fairly easy as far as like you don't have to butcher an animal to get it. So it's something that why Mr. Wonderful is gone for the summertime, I can make egg dog food and not have to kill anything, which is better for me. So so don't think that I'm like trying to find ways to get rid of my eggs. This is intentionally why we have so many eggs. Chickens, that's why we have so many chickens. So anywho, the next task is actually kind of fun. Okay, I have pulled up the recipe that I need for this task, and it is simply recipes, and I pulled it up on my iPad. And so my next thing that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna set my iPad up over here in the kitchen. This is pretty simple. It's actually a pretty fun, simple recipe. I have just gone out and sawed down all of my sunflower trees. I call them trees because they're huge, because they're these mammoth sunflowers. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these outside because they still have some of the stuff on them. And so I'm going to take them outside and dust all the stuff off of them and get all of the seeds extracted and see what I come up with. We got, and now I've got to try to figure out how to get the chaff away from the seeds. I think I need I'm not sure. I think the chaff will float when I boil them, I think. Made a mess. Glad we came outside. Okay, so basically a lot of people would have I've seen it done in different ways. You can use like the wind to blow the chaff away. Some people use like a mesh wire that's like a square of mesh wire that's framed in, that's like 1/4 or 1/2 inch wire, which I have some of that, but I don't have any that's framed in. So basically I'm gonna do this by hand. It's probably not the smartest way to do it. I'm sure that there's much easier ways, and I will have Mr. Wonderful make me a good strainer for this. It will also be, that strainer will also be really good for straining our own compost when we're starting seeds, to get the big sticks and clumps and stuff out. So there will be a lot of things that I'll be able to use that kind of a strainer for, or screen, I guess is probably a better way to say it. I watch a lot of farm homesteaders that have those kind of things, and I've always wanted one, but I've just never, I haven't put it high up on the priority list for Mr. Wonderful to make me. So maybe after this labor of love, maybe this winter when he's bored and not overrun by building me a groom shop and all of the other things that he does, he'll have time to put one of those together for me. So because he is the one in the family who eats sunflower seeds, not me. So I have saved a bunch of these back to send to some of you, and the rest of these are hopefully, if done right, going to be consumed by Mr. Wonderful. So here I am basically just picking. And when I have two hands, I'll get a handful and then just pick the chaff out of the handful. So it'll take me a little while, but I'll get through it. Labor of love. All right, so I ended up using a blowing technique, which I got chaff and seeds all over my kitchen. So I need to clean this up really quick, but it did make it go faster, and I cupped both my hands together and would kind of blow to create a tunnel, and the chaff would blow out. And I did lose some of the seeds too, but my thinking is that the seeds that I did lose were probably hollow. And so I have lots of seeds. So let me get cleaned up here. Okay, I have the oven preheating to 400. I have 5 cups of sunflower seeds in my stock pot, and I'm going to add 12.5 tablespoons of salt and 5 quarts of water to this and bring it to a boil. Okay, we're gonna bring those up to a boil and boil them for 20 minutes, and then we will drain them and put them on a sheet pan and bake them. In the meantime, I've got my eggs shelled and ready to go into their container and go in the fridge for easy snacking. All right, they are done boiling. And look at how black that water is, you guys. That's kind of creepy. All right, we're gonna drain them in the sink and get them on a sheet pan. Okay, so the recipe calls for them to go on the top rack of the oven. I put them on a pizza pan, and the pizza pan has holes in the bottom of it. See if I can show it to you guys. But the pizza pan has holes in the bottom of it, and I just feel like they'll roast better that way. And I'll turn them. So I went ahead and set it for 15 minutes for this first round, and they said just keep setting it for 5 minutes and turning them until they're done, and it can take anywhere from 20 minutes to 45 minutes. So in the meantime, I'm on to a next project, and I don't know if I'll complete this project tonight or not, but we are browning up. This is sausage that we ground from a pork butt that we bought from the grocery store because we don't have any pork that we're raising here right now. Hashtag moving. But we bought a pork butt from the store. Mr. Wonderful ground it up and then made Italian sausage, put all the correct seasonings and stuff in it, and made Italian sausage for me to have in the summertime while he was gone. So there's 2 packages of that in here, as well as a couple of our homegrown onions. And this is going to end up being my meat sauce. And I am making technically a double batch so that I can potentially make a few pans to put in the freezer for easy meals for the dead of winter when Mr. Wonderful and I are off gallivanting around. Because we do a lot of that in the winter. Okay. There they are, their first round out. Still very wet. I actually think it might behoove me to go ahead and separate them. Let's get another sheet out. Back in they go. Meanwhile, my sauce is I added some spaghetti sauce and some diced tomatoes, basil from the garden, lots of basil from the garden, and a little bit of Italian seasoning and some thyme from my little herb atrium that I have in the window here in the house. And this is just cooking and getting lovely and married together, and also just cooking off some of that juice from the diced tomatoes, and you know, cooking it down to condense the tomato flavor. So that's what's happening there. And over here I am peeling zucchini. Okay, beeper went off again after 10 more minutes. That makes a total of 25 minutes, and they are still a little bit wet. So I stirred both pans, and back in they go. And we'll check them every 5 minutes now. It's making a mess all over my stove. My kitchen is so blown up now. Okay, meat sauce is still doing its thing, and I've got zucchini with pieces of black herb. This is basil that was on my cutting board. So zucchini is cut up, and this is just one. We'll see how many we need, and I'm fixing to make up my ricotta mixture. All right, ricotta is in the bowl, and we are going to add just a tiny bit of salt, not very much at all, just a pinch. Garlic powder, as much as your heart desires. My heart desires a lot. Dried parsley out of my garden, and lots of pepper. I do not put basil in this part of it because I put a lot of basil in my sauce. And then of course I garnish with basil if I'm being fancy, but for just me, I don't need to be fancy. I'm just gonna get this all mixed up till it looks a little bit like mashed potatoes with butter and chives in it. That's what it looks like. And for those of you who need a measurement, that was probably 2 teaspoons of garlic powder and a tablespoon and a half of parsley and a teaspoon of pepper. That would be my guess. Okay, it's time to check our thingamajiggers again. Ooh. Ooh, they're starting to get drier. Leave that there. Not totally yet, though. Oh man, I wish you could smell that. That is just heavenly good. We're just putting the ricotta layer here. And I do a layer of, so it's a layer of meat sauce, and then my zucchini, my ricotta mixture, a layer of cheese, a layer of meat sauce, a layer of zucchini, a layer of ricotta, and final topping of cheese. And I actually might just put a little bit of meat sauce right here on top, and then a layer of cheese. It's not, do it however you want, guys, you know. The kitchen to me is a lot like the garden. You know, we don't all like the same things, and some of us are perfectionists and some of us are not, and this is my mother's lasagna recipe that I have turned into a zucchini lasagna recipe. So, you know, just do the best you can. Use what you got and cook what you want. If you don't like parsley, don't put parsley in it. Do what you want. Okay. Ooh, they're starting to smell done. sunflower seeds all over my kitchen. The Chihuahua keeps coming and stealing them and eating them. They're everywhere. Okay, there it is. It's ready to go. And it will not go in the oven until tomorrow. It's 10 o'clock at night. And so I will eat this for dinner tomorrow. And the key with zucchini lasagna is to bake it without foil over it. Allow that moisture to escape, because you know and I didn't salt my zucchini noodles. It's too salty if I do that. So you know, you may end up with a little bit watery of a lasagna, but that's okay. If you let it cool properly before you serve it and don't serve it piping hot, you should be able to cut it out still in squares. But I will actually let this rest overnight in the fridge, and then when I pull it out tomorrow, I will actually get a spoon like this and I'll go down and get some of the fluid out that has drained out of the zucchini. But bake it uncovered, and that helps. I'll bake this for 350 degrees for 1 hour. Okay, and I'm gonna just combine them onto one sheet here. All right, just gonna top them with just a tiny bit more salt. I'm gonna let them cool overnight, and then I will put them in a mason jar to wait for Mr. Wonderful's arrival. And now I'm just gonna kind of clean up my kitchen. Looks to me like the dog food is pretty close to done, so that's good. I'll be putting this away tonight. Let it cook for just a little while longer. Get some of that moisture out. It looks delicious. Spoiled dogs. Okay. Good. Let it cook for just a tiny bit longer, and then I'll put that in containers for the spoiled dogs. Not bad. Not bad at all. Pretty impressed, actually. I'm not as skilled as Mr. Wonderful is at cracking sunflower seeds. Maybe even a tad bit overdone. Like the seed is, it's got a nice smoky flavor. The seeds are perfectly salty. Me eating sunflower seeds is a train wreck. But they're not for me. So the saltiness is really good. They might be a tad bit over roasted. I'll have to see, you know, what Mr. Wonderful says, if he likes them or not. If they're not up to his liking, the chickens will thoroughly enjoy them. So they're not going to go to waste. This is an experiment, and we can't learn if we don't start doing these things in our kitchen with the things that we grow. And I'm a little bit of a worrywart, and I want to do things perfectly. And that's one thing that the garden has taught me is A, there's always next year, and B, we don't know how things are going to turn out, and we can't learn if we don't try. So anyway, thank you guys for hanging out with me in the kitchen while I tried some new things. with the sunflower seeds, and also, you know, some old things, making a batch of dog food and some zucchini lasagna. So I hope you guys had a great day. I appreciate you coming along with me today and taking time out of your day to spend with me. So thank you. Yours truly.